everybody, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Zee Garcia.
And today we're taking a look at a game called Etherstone.
Oh, what a memorable name.
I was going to say, this is the first time I've played and reviewed it, but if you had asked me before we did that, if you had said, have we played this before, I'd have been like, I'm pretty sure yes.
I think so, yeah, I like that one. That's the one with the, remind me?
There's some sort of ether you're keeping track of.
Not a great title, but maybe it'll be the worst thing about this game, the title. We don't know yet. That'll be good.
It comes with a sleeve. Some people love sleeves, though. They do hold your game together if you stack them this way.
Yes, they do.
Well, this is a two-player game of...
You can play with more than that. You can play with 4.
It's a 2 to 4 player game where you can play Forgotten Planet Shrouded in Mystery. Anyway, it's a card-playing game. Zee's going to show us how to play it.
Here we're going to be taking a look at the game setup for 2 players. Every player is going to, at the beginning of the game, be dealt 2 of these leader characters, and then they are going to draft a hand of 7 cards. Everybody's dealt 7, and then you go back and forth looking at your hand, picking a card you'd like to keep, passing to the next player, and so on until you draft all 7. So, and then once you've done that and you know your 7 cards, you'll settle on one of the 2 leaders that you were dealt, okay? So every player here now already has 1 selected, we'll say. You begin with some resources listed down here. This character begins with a couple of tokens sitting on her card there. And then again, everybody has 7 cards. The rest of this is set up based on the player count. How many cards are in here based on the player count, how many of these tokens that are victory points, and so on. And then we'll roll all these dice and set them in their corresponding places with the sort of light purple there in the middle, not inside one of the circles. With all of that out of the way, then we're going to go here to the player turns, and we're going to be going back and forth, taking player turns until the game is over, and we get to final scoring. So how is the end game triggered? Well, there's 3 ways in which it can happen. You play out all 7 of your cards. When you play them all out, you trigger the end of the game. Equal turns, though, and this is the start player. So this player will be last, and then the game is over. So that's one way. Play all of these. All of these tokens have been taken. They are based on the player count. For 2 players, there are 15. Or all of these characters have been revealed face up. There's always 3. Once you defeat one, then we'll flip a new one. When the last one is flipped, that will trigger the end of the game. These 3 don't have to be gone. The last 3, okay? You just have to flip the last one. And then we go to scoring. So scoring is going to be based on whoever triggered the end game is going to get this token. It's worth 2 victory points. And then 1 victory point for each point token. These tokens right here. Any points shown on entity cards in play. That would be all of these characters have victory points right here. And then this is what they cost. Okay, we'll get to that in 1 second. You are going to get points from any endgame abilities that are in play. And then for every 2 life you have, you get 1 point. If your leader is corrupted, meaning you ran out of life, you lose 3 victory points. And for every void pact, that's -7. This is a void pact. It is something you have to you can do to bring yourself back up to life, so to speak. But you lose victory points for that. So there you go. That is how that's going to work out. So what does a turn entail? Well, there are 3 steps to that turn. We're going to start with this player who was randomly dealt this tracker. At the very beginning of the turn, you potentially re-roll all of these dice and set them up again. If they've all been taken, you have to do that. You're going to collect them from in front of whoever took them, roll them all again, and put them in their corresponding locations. You may do it, even if you don't have to, by spending life equal to how many have not been taken. Say we are down to only the red and the purple, and I really don't want those 2. Well, at the beginning of my turn, I can pay 1, 2 life, pick those 2 up, and the other ones from wherever they are, roll them all again, place them all out. With that done, then you get to perform 1 action. So let's go ahead and go through these actions. The first one is a dice draft. To draft a die, you select one of these. You are going to get 2 tokens of that matching color. The number is irrelevant for this part, okay? So if I take this one, I get 2 red tokens. And then I check if this die I took triggers any of my card abilities. And now is when I would check that it's a 6, or that it's red. Sometimes it'll care about those things. So for example, this card right here is going to care about me taking a white die. That's what the bottom means. And this one is going to care about me taking a 5. So when I take a 5, I get to do that ability right there. So those are the things you are checking for, and those are the things that the numbers are about. You always get 2 of the color you picked. If you ever take the purple, or you choose to, or whatever, then you are going to have to pay 1 life, but you get to select the color that is, and you will take 2 of the corresponding color, and you can treat that die as that color for triggering things. So if I take it, pay a life, take 2 whites right here, and that will trigger that card I had that cares about me taking a white die. That will count for that. So that is the first action, is drafting one of those dice, taking the 2 goodies, these 2 here of the matching color, and then triggering everything. Next up, you can cast. Casting is playing a card. So to play a card, you're going to have to pay the cost of that card. So for example, if I want to play this card, it's going to cost me 1 red, and then purple is anything. So 1 red and 1 of anything. So perhaps on my first turn, I took this, then my opponent would go. Maybe they do that, and they take 2 of, they probably shouldn't get that. They'll take that, and they'll get 2 of these. They began with a bunch of that, is why I'm changing that. And then I go again, and I'm going to play this card. I play that, I have to pay 1 red and 1 of anything. Could be red, could be anything else. I'll spend that green. And then, if it has a lightning symbol, that happens right now. Opponent loses 2 life. Okay, they lost 2 life, like so. It's going to have an ability that comes around when I have combat, and we'll get to that, okay? So that is the second thing you can do, is cast a card. These cards are going to come in a few different types. They're going to be characters, like this one here, who is a character. It shows you a symbol at the bottom, and it has a strength right here. Plus, again, abilities and all of that. It might be one of these that has the little sort of fire happening there, a bonfire. And then it also might be one of these that it has the gear. And you can play one of those. These are called technology cards. So it'll be one of those 3 kinds of cards. And of course, other things will reference those types of cards. For example, my leader, the Astral Waker here, has an always-on ability, hence the infinity symbol, that says every time I cast one of the warriors, one of the fighters, then I sort of untap, if you would, all of my fighters in play. Cool. That's what I do. That's my built-in ability. The next action, then, is attacking. Let's talk about attacking. I am going to pretend that I have been able to pay for and play this Swift Croft character. So there we go. I'm going to attack. These are the things you are attacking in the game. They have a threshold here. That is how much you're attempting to attack it for, number of victory points you will gain, and then something that you will acquire or gain when you win that card, when you break that card, okay? So when I am attacking, I'm going to commit my characters to give me a total. If I commit this character, I will exhaust it. It gives me a total of 3 towards the combat. If I have multiple warriors, I'll just grab some more here. Let's see. Let's say I have all of these warriors. These 2 also. I can commit them as well. Exhaust them. That's 3, 4, 5. I could fight that, right? Or I could fight that one. If I do that, I will win, of course. I get 2 victory points at the end of the game. I'm just going to put this card aside, and then I get this ability here. This strength here, that is how much it hits me back for, I will not care about, because I did not attack with my leader. I only attacked with these people helping me out. This card is removed. Again, I trigger this ability. I set it aside. We flip over a new one. However, if I do not have enough to get to that value, I could commit my leader as well. I don't have to exhaust it. I just say that he is part of the attack. And now my total is 3 from here and 3 from here for 6. Let's say I attack the same character. Now that my leader is involved, they get hit back based on this value right here. So I am going to tick this down 1, 2, 3, like so, and then I get to do that ability. And again, keep this, flip over a new one. So that is how attacking works. Next up, we've got resting. Resting is very, very simple. You get to rest all of your cards that are exhausted. So if I had previously attacked with these two and they have not readied, I could rest now and stand all of these back up so I can use them again. And then lastly is Void Pact, which again happens. You have to do it if you are out of health, and you would take one of those, keep it in your supply, heal back up, but you'll lose 7 victory points for that at the end of the game. Anything else you see here, such as tokens, the points, what have you, all come from effects on cards. Some cards will say, this one is, you trigger this with a green, you would ready this card, and if you have the most fighters in play, you gain a coin. You gain one of these, which is a victory point at the end of the game. This character here has 2 of these tokens. She has the ability to make them. Every time I cast an exalted card, that would be the white ones, I think, then you place 2 tokens on here. You remove them during combat, is what that symbol means, to add extra strength or to protect her from that hit back if she commits. So that's what she does. They're each going to have a special ability or 2. They're each going to do something unique, and there's a whole stack of these which have colors based on what it takes to cast them, or just purple because you can cast these with anything. So that is the general flow of the game. Once you've refreshed the dice, because you had to, they're all gone, or you chose to, and you play an action, play a card, take a die, attack, refresh, or Void Pact, then you check if the end game was triggered. Again, this is all flipped. All these are gone. You played all 7 of your cards, and if that hasn't happened, it's the next player's turn. We keep going back and forth until the end game is triggered. We count up the victory points, and of course, whoever has the most is the winner of the game.
So what do you think of how the game looks?
I really like the look. I think the artwork in this is incredibly cohesive. It's a single artist for all the weird gobbledygooky looking characters, and I like that a lot. In fact, I'll settle for artwork I don't like as much as if it's cohesive, rather than like a slew of artists where the quality, to me, of course, in my opinion, kind of goes up and down. But even putting that aside, I think the artwork here is great. It kind of fits this sort of, we're in a weird planet shrouded by other weird things that we're not sure we understand. It works for me.
It's a little Elden Ring or Dark Souls-esque.
Yeah,
It's not so gory,
Elden Ring.
but it's definitely a spooky-esque, that thing. I like the components. My only complaint about components in this game is that the white tokens are blue.
Yes, and I have the same issue. In fact, I went and looked at the Kickstarter for this, and they show a different dye, which is like slightly blue. I think they must have, I'm extrapolating here, but they must have run into issues with the blue looking like the green.
Got it.
So they got away from that, but unfortunately now the blue matches what is predominantly, the white dye matches what is predominantly blue tokens.
And the symbols on the cards.
Yeah.
They're white.
Yeah, I would have.
I just have to say white is blue. Even though there's white in the middle of the blue, but there's also white in the middle of the red.
It could have been better. That's component-wise, that's a little iffy.
That's my only complaint there.
Yeah. Card format is really nice. I like the tall kind of cards.
Oh, it's one of my favorite sizes.
Yeah. And then the iconography and everything is actually pretty good. I was worried at first when I started reading the rule book that there was going to be one of those icon-heavy games. It's clean. It's good.
The game itself, it does something that I'm a big fan of. It gives you a starting setup. Mm-hmm. If they had just said, hey, draft 7, I think I would have maybe liked the game less. I'd have been like, I don't know what I'm doing going into this to draft the cards. Now, once I play, I'm like, well, then we must draft.
Yes. And it does do something which I think is a little weird, in which that gives you the first 7 cards they recommend. Like for that first game, they're like, go find these cards, play with those. It's really good.
Yeah.
I think it's too good, honestly, to the point that in the rule book they have to mention, like, hey, just so you know, we've made this like a primo deal for you. When you draft, they're not going to be that good. They're not going to like be that cohesive. I kind of wish they had made them worse hands, honestly. But they're trying to teach you, like, this is what might happen.
Sure.
Just makes your second game, you feel like, oh, I'm a dummy.
Well, right. And so that is the issue for the game, right? I'm not 100% sure about that because we were talking about it, like, I wouldn't mind having 9 cards and you draft 7.
Right.
Or maybe 3 leaders.
Sure.
You know, because it's... You when you're drafting, you get to the last 2 or 3, you're like, yeah, this is I don't care anymore. I'm taking these people, but you have to play them all if you want to end the game, maybe.
Yeah,
or
it's easy. That's the thing. I think ultimately is that it's not that hard to play them all. You can certainly frequently get to play all 7, and therefore, if you draft 7 from 7, the last 2 are like, ugh. So yeah.
So there's not many of these small engine building games that are out there. This is going to be, if you've played Res Arcana, I really feel like this has a lot of similarities to that, where you have 7 cards, although in this case you've picked them.
You draft in Res Arcana also.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, same thing. Get an open hand. You get like the set hand at first, or you draft. Actually, the drafting is, except for maybe the number of cards, might be 7 too. It is identical. You get 2 leaders, you then draft, you then settle on which of the 2, which of course you already know at that point because you've been drafting towards that. They're really very, very similar. They share a lot of DNA. Not like in a sort of rip-offy kind of way, because there's a lot in this game that is not in that game. All the dice stuff, all the triggering things on cards, all of that is not in Res Arcana. But they both give me, anyway, a very similar feel. This feeling of do a lot with very few pieces. This is the entire thing. You're going to get 7 cards for the entire game. That's all you ever get. Make it work. I love that. I love working within limitations in a card game like this.
Yeah, it's the whole thing comes together in a pretty interesting way. I'd like that there's 3 ways to end it, because the one way, which is play all your cards, can always happen.
Yeah.
You may not have a strong enough hand to defeat the level 3 enemies. You know what I mean? You may not have a way to take all the
coins, victory points,
victory points, but you can always play all the cards in your hand.
Right.
And you can also force rush the end of the game to stop it, but you might not want to. You might get points otherwise. And so I find it to be interesting. I think the biggest hang-up people are going to have will be drafting, in a sense of there will be some games where you'll be like, my hand is more disjointed. I think the game is still fun despite that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's going to feel better if you do manage to pull off a cool combo. And I wonder at drawing more cards, but that's I'll probably house rule it to see if that helps, but maybe I'm off base and maybe it's best with 7.
Yeah, I'm sure it couldn't hurt to draft from 8 and you throw away the last card, you know? That's probably not a big deal. I can't imagine it being a big deal.
I think the complaint that people would say was, well, then you can get stronger hands. It's to teach you to work with what you have.
Right, sure. And I'm happy with that. I wouldn't necessarily do it, but I didn't feel as constrained as you did about that, because I like having janky cards. I like that among the 7, some are worse, because then I pivot. I'm like, well, I don't really want to play the last 2. Can I fight? Can I pivot to fighting more? And get points that way. The last couple, if it comes to it, I drop them just to end the game and get a few victory points. That's it. But yeah, I do like the 3 things, and I love that in this game, this is something this game does that I flat out like better than Res Arcana. You don't attack each other. You attack the monsters on the side of the board.
There are some cards that hurt your opponent or dice abilities.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not it goes away from the whole Magic the Gathering, hit the other person till they're dead.
Right. It pivots to there's baddies, you can attack them for, fame and glory, and that feels good. Because it's like when you take a guy I was ready to take out, I'm like, all right, well, good job. You killed a bad guy. I'll kill the next one. It doesn't feel the same as being directly attacked. Yeah,
I really like this game. I I don't care so much about the theme. I think the artwork's kind of cool, a little creepier than I would prefer, but I get why people like it. I think it's very well done, and the whole thing. But I like that little engine building. I find it to be a fun diversion. This is something I would do often. I'll give this an 8 out of 10. It's a good box size. I feel like there's a ton of content in here. You'll be able to play this over and over and over and over and over again. By doing that draft, you'll always have different combos.
Yes.
And like, I'm not sitting here going, man, I hope they make expansions.
No, right.
This is solid as is. So I think it's kind of a surprise for me too, because I wasn't again, it's called Etherstone, and I have not liked many of Thundergriff's games.
Yeah, I think this is very much my jam, and I'm not even thinking of the publisher, but I think you're right. This might be my new favorite Thundergriff game, though. Again, what is it? What's the next one? Wari or whatever that one is, the remake of China. That might be the next.
Oh yeah.
My next favorite. To be fair, this is so my speed. I really enjoy these kinds of things, and yes, absolutely, it reminds me of Arcana. I'm okay with that. I love that game. I love the look in this one. I love the cards. I like the combos. The dice drafting feels neat. The amount of choices you get as a player feels good without overwhelming you, without there being all these things going on. The fact that you could die, and then you're like, all right, bloop, 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 I'm back, -7 points. That sucks. Let's keep playing. I like that. I like everything, the way it all comes together in this one. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. It's a winner. I can definitely I can definitely see this showing up on best of the year lists for me. It's one that the drafting is so exciting and preps me and gets me like juiced up to go into the game, which is kind of what you want in a game like this. If you have a draft at the beginning and then you play, you want to go into that on a high. This game manages to do that when I play it. So, yeah, Etherstone's fantastic. I would just change that name, Stat. Etherstone, that's going to slip out of my brain, man.
Does it start with an A? Does it start with an E?
Yeah.
So, Anyway, definitely check it out. There you go, folks. That's Etherstone. I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Zee Garcia.
See you next time. Hey, thanks for watching another video here on the Dice Tower. We really appreciate you stopping by and checking our things out. Thanks so much for joining us today. And hey, if you really like what we're doing here at the Dice Tower, then there are different ways to support the Dice Tower. One of those ways is through Patreon. We have links in the description to this video, and we have links to lots of other things we do down there, so definitely check it out. But either way, we're glad you watched us. Tell your friends about the Dice Tower. Until next time, though, I'm Tom Vasel, and I hope you enjoyed this video.